in our minds, we can do anything that allows us to live our lives beyond our limits.
2006, I had a snowboarding accident that caused me to shatter the distal end of my tibia on my left leg. It looked like someone took a beer bottle, put it in a sock, and smashed it. And they tried for years to repair it, but they couldn't. So I ended up getting my leg amputated in 2009. It was my left leg, about 6 inches below the knee. The prosthetist suggested that that would be the best length for me because I'm so active.
Well, sitting this one with my coffee mug in my hand.
So I was injured in the Marine Corps in 2012. At that time, we were trying to get forensics off of all the IEDs. So I went down to uncover it, and upon digging on the IED, it was booby-trapped and detonated when I was on top of it. And then my ears were ringing, there was still dust falling everywhere. I was laying on the ground and I realized, oh, okay, the IED had gone off. I'd just been hit. Went to get up, my right arm was behind my back and I couldn't move my right arm. Did kind of like this dead arm thing and flopped over and saw what the explosive had done to my hand and my forearm and decided I'd better wait for the corpsman. When I got hurt, it was a pretty big blow that I was no longer going to be in the Marine Corps. I loved being an EOD tech. I loved explosive work. I loved being a Marine. I'd found my niche in life and got hit, suffered the injuries that I did with the amputation of my right hand, blind in my left eye. Was no longer going to be a Marine, and it was a pretty big disappointment and depression mode. And it was recovery through sports. I'd found snowboarding.
We're at Woodward at Copper. Dryland training is really a big piece of what we do. Having good body awareness, being able to move your body properly in the air, on the ground, just is important and integral to snowboarding. Whoa! Getting a new event into the Paralympic Games isn't an easy thing to do. You've got to have over 7 participating countries in that sport over a certain amount of time before it becomes recognized. And then once you have that participation and that time length, you've got to host a certain amount of World Cups and World Championships. At first, we weren't sure we were going to have success for Sochi, Russia, which was the first time that it made an appearance in the Games.
I and a handful of other adaptive snowboarders, just on our own dollar, we had no money, we didn't have any sponsors, it wasn't even an official sport at this point. We would travel to different countries and show up to snowboard competitions that maybe had a little adaptive division and, show up and compete and just show what the possibilities were. Then we started meeting other organizations in other countries and other athletes who were doing the same kind of push in other parts of the world. And we all came together and we started making sure that we had enough athletes showing up to all of these competitions. It took adaptive snowboarding to a completely different level.
The 2014 Paralympics were coming up and snowboarding was just introduced to the Paralympic lineup for the winter sports. And I was asked to train with adaptive action sports in hopes that the upper limb category would open up after the lower limb category debuted. From then on, that was my goal. I want to represent my country.
자, 다음 출발을 준비하고 있는 선수는 미국의 제임스 사이즈 선수입니다. James Sides from the USA dropping it for you next.
I would not have gotten to the Paralympics without adaptive action sports. It was something that I could do and channel my energy away from no longer being a Marine and not knowing what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
There's other programs that are teaching snowboarding, but we were one of the first, and we've continued to be consistently creating, some of the top athletes. Without adaptive action sports right now, there wouldn't be many opportunities to make it into the Paralympic Games as a snowboarder.
When I was named to the U.S. Paralympic snowboard team, The feeling, it's almost undescribable. I was sitting at a table inside a resort at Big White. Dan comes up to me and he has sort of a serious face on. So I was like, oh, I didn't make the team. And he looks at me and he says, you made the team. And I just started crying. I felt like a true athlete at that point, that I had made it to South Korea and I'm on this team now. I was thinking of competing in the 2022 Paralympic Games. And then I decided that it wasn't in my heart to go back. I wasn't, even though I was still been competing and I've still been training, I didn't have the same motivation. I felt now at this point in my life that I was ready to move on and start helping others get there. Today we are taking up Brett. When I first started working with him, he was only missing one leg below the knee. Well, he had a problem with his other leg now, and he had to get it amputated above the knee. And that's pretty emotional for me, just because of everything he's been through. Him just standing alone on that board without anyone holding him is a win for the day. That's progress.